This is an urgent appeal from the Disasters Emergency Committee. Hundreds of thousands of people have fled their homes to escape conflict in Ukraine, leaving jobs, belongings and loved ones behind. They need shelter, food and water. You can help. To donate online, search DEC or text radio to 70150 to give £10. Thank you.
Streaming 24/7, this is Brum Radio.
Thank you for downloading this Brum Radio podcast. For more podcasts, visit brumradio.com.
I'm Dave Massey. I'm joined on the telephone by Jessica Ransom, who is playing Judy in Home I'm Darling by Laura Wade, which is at the Alexandra Theatre here in Birmingham from the 25th to the 29th of April. Good afternoon, Jessica. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Where do we find you today?
Well, I'm currently in my dressing room at the Lyceum Theatre in Sheffield because we're in Sheffield this week and then heading to Birmingham on Tuesday for the third to last week of our tour. So we're Birmingham, then Cambridge, then Canterbury, then we're done. And
does it feel quite weird for yourself personally that you're going from Sheffield to Birmingham?
Yeah, well, because I'm from Sheffield, so this is where I grew up, but I went to university in Birmingham, so I'm just basically reenacting what I did when I was 18, which is going from Sheffield to Birmingham. And
do you have, and even if it's not in either of those cities, do you have a theatre that you consider to be your home theatre that you would go and see productions in, or like to perform at?
Well, so we did, being from Sheffield, I used to come and see lots of stuff at the Lyceum where we are now, and I also, we performed school plays on the main stage at the Crucible.
Wow.
So I was really fortunate to experience that, and I'd go and see lots of stuff there. But also my mum is from Birmingham, so I went to uni there, but I've got lots of family there. So my nan was there, and I've got aunties and uncles and cousins who still live there. So we would go and see stuff at the Alex, and obviously when I was at university, we'd go and see things at the Rep, and I performed at the Crescent and things. So, yeah, it's a nice couple of weeks in terms of like connecting with my past and what's made me be able to do what I am now.
That's wonderful. And obviously, if you've been in Birmingham audiences before, you know they can be quite cheeky audiences.
Well, I think that's true in most places, but yeah, I'm excited to hear the responses when we're in Birmingham.
What can you tell me about the story of this production? What's it about, and what can people expect from it?
So it's about a couple called Judy and Johnny, and they are completely obsessed with the 1950s, the kind of aesthetics of it, the values of it, and so because of that, they decide to live their lives as though it is the 1950s, but, plot twist, it's now. So it's sort of about whether their relationship can survive having those 50s values. So she stays at home and is a housewife, and he goes off to work, and they only eat food from the 50s, they only wear clothes from the 50s, and it's sort of an examination of those gender roles, which is really interesting, particularly looking at it now, because obviously I'm not a housewife, I'm away from my family and working, so it's a really interesting play that will make people think about those things, but also it's really funny. Laura Wade's script is absolutely brilliant. It's so fast, it's so witty, and then their life is kind of interrupted and agitated by much more contemporary characters, like Judy's mum Sylvia, played by Diane Keane, who kind of comes in and says, this isn't what it was like in the 50s, it wasn't this beautiful, it was actually quite hard work, and people were miserable. And Johnny's boss, Alex, played by Shanez Patney, who's sort of a very modern woman who's out and working and is a bit of a rival to Judy, and then their friends Fran and Marcus, who like wearing the 50s clothes but live a bit more of a normal life, played by Cassie Bradley and Matt Douglas, and so me and Neil McDermott, who are Judy and Johnny, are kind of have their lives examined, and this choice they've made examined by all these other people who come into their lives. So it's sort of an examination of whether their relationship can survive. Strange choice they've made.
Well, this is the thing. It makes me think of those quite quirky accounts that you might find on Instagram or
those
TikTok.
trad wife things.
Yeah, and that they're people that are living their lives in a particular way, and they don't want to be part of what we might consider to be conventional society and things like that.
Yeah, it's definitely got overtones of that. But the interesting thing for them, for Judy and Johnny in the play, is they have no social media, so they're not doing it to show to anybody else. They're doing it because it makes them happy, and they make each other happy in doing it. So it's a kind of what's fascinating about all those trad wife things, and the YouTube channels and the Instagram things, is that there's part of it that's a bit of voyeurism, to be able to kind of show the world, like, oh, look at our 50s clothes. They just do it because they really like it. They're really into it.
And that's wonderful to see. And as I say, my reviewer George, that's coming to see this, as I just mentioned before we started recording, she really likes that kind of 50s style and dressing within that. But also, she's somebody that's very vocal, and rightly so, about gendering people and putting people into boxes in a way as well. So I find that really fascinating to see. People tend to know you from lots of different reasons. And I said to my friend earlier that he's American, and I said that I was going to be speaking to you today, and he immediately said Doc Martin to me.
He's in America, weirdly.
Yeah, he was really like, oh, that's Doc Martin, and he's been to Cornwall with me, so he was really excited about that. But during lockdown, I watched a lot of Horrible Histories episodes. I'd never seen it before. I knew the songs from YouTube, but I'd never sat down and watched whole episodes. So I watched like 3 or 4 seasons over days at a time. Is it weird to have audiences that recognise you for very different things?
No, it's lovely. It's funny because because of the age group that watch both of those shows, if I go to a centre parts, I'll get recognised because there's like lots of kids. But also if I go around a garden centre, the older members of society recognise me from Doc Martin.
That's
so I
brilliant.
definitely span the ages in what I've done in my career so far. But no, Horrible Histories is a joy to work on.
It just looks fun.
It's the biggest form of showing off acting, because you get to just play millions of characters and do all your daft voices and stuff.
I did go and review a Horrible Histories live, which was at the Alexandra before, and that was just a joy to just see, and it's brilliant. The kids just looked fantastically confused, as well as they're loving every second of it.
Yeah, and the thing is, all of it, because it's got the Horrible Histories name, it all has to be based on true facts,
yes,
so that we're still sort of educating people.
Oh, totally.
So what's wonderful about it is that our research team find these incredible, like, bizarre facts, and then we get to tell people about them, which is great. It's a real privilege to work on.
This production of Home I'm Darling runs until the 13th of May. Are you allowed to tell us anything about what you're doing after that?
Well, I've actually done... So we shot 2 series of Horrible Histories at the back end of last year, and they are coming out later on this year. So there's a big NHS special, which is because it's 75 years since the NHS was formed this July. So that's going to be coming out, and then there's a Father's Day special, and so there's 2 series worth of that all coming out. And we're also doing a Horrible Histories prom at the Royal Albert Hall in July. So that is a very exciting thing, which I don't quite know what it's going to be yet, but we'll be there and we'll be doing some silly songs, but in an enormous venue, which is sort of terrifying and exciting at the same time.
Oh, that should be really wonderful to go and see it. And I know I've seen recordings of when they did a Doctor Who prom, and what the kids were like when they went to see that. And there's just that kind of level of excitement, just seeing something on television when you're a kid, that when you're an adult, seeing it on stage or being able to go and see it in the theatre is just wonderful to see live, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really special day. So yeah, it's a very exciting prospect, yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me about this today. It's really wonderful to do. I know that George is really looking forward to come and see this production.
Well, I hope she likes it. She sounds like she's a connoisseur, so she'll know her stuff.
Well, I think that's gonna. Hopefully, that's why I was like, right, you must go and see this as well. And she was very excited to go and see it as well. It's going to be at the Alexandra from the 25th to the 29th of April, and then on tour until the 13th of May. The 2 websites are kenwright.com. Check out Home I'm Darling on there, and then go to, and I have to say it carefully, ATG Tickets. bbrradio.com and look for the Alexandra Theatre there as well. Thank you so much for chatting about this today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to this Brum Radio podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us on your podcast app.